Welcome back to Opinionize. I hope that you're not one of the unlucky flight passengers that was stranded in the New York, New Jersey area recently. I wanted to start off with this article here from the Associated Press, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about what some of the resources are that the Department of Transportation has if you are an unlucky stranded passenger. So this article here from the Associated Press, the headline is "Passengers were stuck because United Airlines canceled their flights. The CEO took a private plane." So here's a picture of the United CEO. The article begins, "United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby apologized Friday for hopping on a private plane to get out of the New York area earlier this week, while thousands of United passengers were stranded because their airline canceled so many flights." Kirby said, "Taking a private jet was the wrong decision because it was insensitive to our customers who were waiting to get home." He continued, "I sincerely apologize to our customers and our team members who have been working around the clock for several days, often through severe weather, to take care of our customers." He then promised to do better, to better demonstrate my respect for the dedication of our team members and loyalty of our customers. So I guess with this, I understand why CEOs and people that you can consider that they make, their hourly pay is above average, well above average, in the sense that if they need to get to various meetings, I don't know if this flight was work related or personal, but if in the circumstances where a person of maybe a higher elevation, like a CEO or something like that, is trying to get to various meetings that are in several locations, such as, one state and then another state later that day, you probably wouldn't be able to make multiple meetings in a day, maybe 2-3 meetings in a day when they have to be on those locations. With that said, though, it's not the most environmentally friendly thing to jet around in a private plane. I don't know what the answer is necessarily, but it is insensitive when the employees of the company that are working for him, I should say, that is an airline company, can't get home, or their customers can't go home, yet he takes it upon himself to get home. And I don't think Scott Kirby is better than me or you or anybody else. So there was definitely some insensitivity there. It would have been nice for him to help solve the problem. With that said, let's move on here. It said that Kirby caught the private flight from Teterboro, New Jersey to Denver on Wednesday when United canceled 750 flights, which is 1/4 of its schedule for the day. United has canceled nearly 3,000 flights this week, with the largest number at its Newark Liberty International Airport hub in New Jersey, which was hit by thunderstorms for much of the week. So, whether mechanical issues like that are more outside of the hands of the company, definitely weather. Mechanical, hopefully they're keeping up with their maintenance and things like that, but stuff goes wrong that's out of the company's control or prediction, definitely with weather, unforeseen circumstances. But one of the blames here, Kirby says that he blames the disruptions on shortages from the FAA and air traffic controllers, saying that the FAA frankly failed them and that they reduced the rate at which planes could arrive and depart at the airport due to the air traffic control shortage. So I don't know the circumstances behind that. I've heard of things around that. I'd need to look further into it, but I'm sure, that could be a contributing factor. But one thing I did want to provide to you as well is the DOT offers some resources that I wanted to share here. One of them is this airline customer service dashboard, which is pretty handy. It's broken into 2 main sections, the family seating dashboard and the cancellation and delay dashboard. We'll expand this first one in the family seating dashboard section. This one is commitment to fee-free family seating. And as we can see here, only 3 airlines are committed to that. That's Alaska, American, and Frontier. So specifically, we're talking about United. They're not committed to that. And this is if you have they're guaranteeing adjacent seats for a child 13 and under and an accompanying adult at no additional cost. I would assume that if you're traveling with a child and, a mother or something like that is traveling with her child, you would almost have to guarantee that that child is sitting with the mother. I'm not sure how this would work, but I can't ever imagine a scenario where the mother would allow their child to sit in a different location of the plane next to a stranger. I just don't see how all of these are not checked green. Let me know. I'm curious in the comments. I haven't read the limitations and conditions there. Maybe that's explained, but I'm curious if anybody knows the details on that. Please feel free to comment. The second part is cancellation and delay dashboard. So this is broken into commitments for controllable cancellation and commitments for controllable delays. So we'll expand the first one for cancellations. And right away, what jumps out to me is that Alaska Airlines has the most green check marks as far as commitments that they're adhering to. And the least is Frontier Airlines. Everyone else kind of is about the same, with the exception of, Allegiant, Southwest, and Spirit have a couple extra red X's there, but the rest are about the same. And then the other thing too is that the check marks are about the same for controllable delays, if not the same here. So as far as airlines that are committed to customer service and guarantees for this, it looks like Alaska Airlines stands out the most in this case, followed by JetBlue, then the main, American, Delta, Hawaiian, all the rest down the line. This is, I think, a good resource, and I think they're keeping updated as these things are adjusted. So I'll include this link in the description if you'd like to look further into this and dig into it and see if there's been any updates since this video has been published. This is the second resource that I wanted to also highlight, and I'll include a link for this as well. But this is the DOT's frequently asked questions page, and this is something that isn't going to apply to non-U.S. carriers, and I'd be happy to go into other countries and their policies and things like that. If there's any interest there, please leave a comment. Let me know which country you would like me to dig into deeper, and happy to do that. But the first section of this flight delay and cancellation frequently asked question page starts with flight delays. The first question is, my flight is delayed. Am I entitled to money or other compensation from the airline? Short answer is no. But you'll want to check with the airline. They all have different policies, but there's no federal law that requires them to do so. But check with your airline. Second question, how do I find out how long my flight will be delayed? The bottom line here is that airlines are required to give status updates 30 minutes or sooner after they become aware of the status change. Next question is, why are flights sometimes delayed for several hours? They call this a creeping delay. They could say, oh, this is delayed for 30 minutes, and then it gets to be 45 minutes and then 60 minutes. As it extends, that's a creeping delay. And these are usually due to unforeseen or out of control circumstances like weather or a mechanical problem that is more complex or requires additional time. It's usually where that happens. Next question is, if my flight is delayed, can I switch to a different flight? This is possibly here. So you're going to, again, have to talk with the airline. So work with your airline on that before committing to a different flight or selecting a different flight. My flight is significantly delayed. Am I entitled to a refund? And this also depends here. So every airline has different policies, but the bottom line here is that the DOT does not specifically define what a significant delay is and what that means. So you would be entitled to a refund under certain circumstances, as well as optional fees like baggage fees or seat upgrades. But this is determined on a case-by-case basis. So make sure you're working with your airline again and understanding the reason for the significant delay and how long that actually is. Moving into the flight cancellation section, what happens when my flight is canceled? If your flight is canceled, most airlines will rebook you for free. And I think, looking on that last chart, it looked like all of them fell into this category. So talk with your airline here and make sure that they're going to rebook you if you need to. If your flight is canceled and you choose to cancel your trip, the key thing here is that you are entitled to a refund, and that even applies for non-refundable tickets. You could also get a voucher, but if you do get a voucher, make sure that you ask the airline about any restrictions or blackout dates or expiration dates, things like that. Make sure you understand the situation and the terms around that voucher. If my flight is canceled, can my airline put me on another airline's flight? The answer is yes. Sometimes they can put you on other airlines or airlines that they partner with. You'll want to work with the airline, see what they can do for you there. One tip here is that oftentimes, employees are under a lot of pressure when there's a canceled flight. So make sure, or what I guess a suggestion would be, is to look ahead of time at other options and help the gate agent or the employee and present maybe these options to them and say, look, this is everything that I found. Is there any way that I can get on one of these flights? Coming up with some options like that may expedite it, may make their job easier. And, they may be more willing to work with you in that case. Not a guarantee, but just a suggestion. If my flight is canceled, is the airline required to provide me with a hotel room, cab fare, food, etc.? So the bottom line is no, that they're not required to. Some airlines, it's in their policy to help out with this. I will say also that the Biden administration is working on legislation or suggested legislation to change this. So there may be an update to this in the future. And the last question is an airline required to reimburse me for expenses if it cancels my flight and I am forced to miss my cruise, honeymoon, etc.? The answer to this is no. So if your flight is canceled and you're going to a cruise and you miss that boarding time for your ship and the ship takes off, the airline is not on the hook to compensate you for that in any way. So something to keep in mind there as well. I think some of this, there's a technology aspect to an issue here. All of the airlines, or many of the airlines, they use what's called a global distribution system for available routes and seats and things like that. They also use the airline tariff publishing company for ticket prices. I believe that I have that correct. But the disadvantage of this is that it's a very old, outdated system that needs to be updated. It led to a lot of different problems. I mean, we've seen problems every year of mass delays and cancellations. One recent issue had to do with, or one recent example was with Southwest Airlines in Christmas time of 2022 when they had huge delays. I don't know if Southwest necessarily uses the same systems, but they did use outdated software, which turned out to be part of the culprit of moving their aircraft around, their personnel around, things like that. So I think that part of the problem here with these delays and cancellations is there's a lot of unnecessary delays and cancellations due to these outdated technologies. And airlines don't have real incentive to update them and get updated systems up to standard in current times, because it's a big investment, a big training and investment with personnel. It's a lot of upfront cost to build these new technologies, and one airline is not going to want to do that over the other and take that risk, knowing that these other systems are already in play. The GDS and the ATPCO, I believe, is the initials for it, acronym. And moving all the other airlines onto a new updated system would be a huge effort and expensive. And the other thing too is passengers are used to the frustrations, and this is, status quo for traveling by air. And so there's no real incentive to update their systems. I mean, if you need to go travel across the globe, the only way to do it is through these airlines. And if they're all using the same system, you're stuck. You have to play by their rules. So I hope this was helpful. If there's any other countries you'd like me to dig in deeper, or if you'd like me to dig in more into the global distribution system or the airline tariff publishing company, I'd be happy to dig up more information on that and kind of explain those systems a little more. But I hope this was helpful. Please tell me where I've missed anything or any gaps, or if you have any other helpful information for travelers that might be stranded, please leave them in the comments. Appreciate you listening today. Thank you.